Hey everybody, how's it going? Let's talk about your home recording studio. Today I'm just going to do kind of a quick follow-up on the Steinberg UR22mkII. Now I'd used this thing on a full project last weekend and posted that video. And so since I actually had a chance to really kind of put it through its paces, I figured I'd take just a couple minutes here to kind of go over things that I liked and didn't like about the whole process of using it. Now, it's worth noting that for that whole project, I used it running solely off of bus power. So you got the switch on the back here, so you can go between using the USB signal cable to also power the unit 5 volts, or you can use USB only for signal, and on this setting, use an auxiliary 5-volt input. Now, I used it just off of bus power. I didn't use any auxiliary power. So as far as I understand, that typically ends up lowering your headroom since there's just not as much power to go around, like if you're going to use phantom power, or if you're just going to use the regular line inputs or mic inputs, it's going to lower your headroom. And I did find that to be true. I was really having to watch the input gain both through a phantom powered large diaphragm condenser microphone and with a line output from my 2 Notes Torpedo, which is how I got the guitar recorded for that whole project. Now, one funny thing that I don't quite understand. So the one like total failure that I had with this during recording that project was with the 2 Notes Torpedo. It was so hot that even on a line input signal, a 1/4-inch TRS line input, and the gain for channel 1 all the way down, it was still just horribly distorted. So I ended up having to kind of cheat on that one. So I used an outboard preamp to plug the 2 Notes into, and then took a line output from there into here. And then, it was fine. I had enough headroom. So before I hit record here, I wanted to try that again to kind of demonstrate it. And it worked fine. I went straight so I used an XLR out of my 2 Notes Torpedo to a 1/4-inch into the line input here. And it was fine. Totally like plenty of headroom, no problems, no distortion, nothing. So I'm not exactly sure what to say about that one. It's kind of 50-50. One time I used it and it was terrible, unworkable, and one time I used it and it was fine. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure what to say about that one. But I have a feeling all of those headroom issues. Now, I mean, that does not change the fact that these are very hot inputs. I mean, they are pretty hot. But I think with using the auxiliary 5-volt input is probably going to help those headroom issues that I was running into. One other issue that I had, and I'm not sure if this is also related to using bus power, but I noticed like the output volume was kind of low, like both of the headphones and out the main outputs here. Now, I record mostly direct in this room. That's just the nature of how I have to do things in this small room in a neighborhood upstairs. I can't make just tons and tons of noise. So I record guitars direct, bass direct. The drums and keys and everything are all virtual instruments. They don't really make any noise out loud. So for monitoring purposes, for the most part, it was okay. Now, if I was recording a guitar cabinet, I have a feeling I would have run into some really tricky situations with not only not having enough headroom on the inputs to cope with a signal that hot, that loud, but also being able to get the monitoring volume up enough to compete with something like a Marshall cabinet or something. You tend to, that it's really loud in the room, and you need a fair amount of output into your headphones in order to hear the backing tracks or the click or whatever it is you're recording to. And kind of going in hand with that kind of low headroom and hot inputs is, yeah, I ran into distortion problems. I ran into problems with my microphone. I had to turn the input gain quite a bit down. Sorry, I keep bumping my mic here. I have to turn the input gain down quite a bit, or else I was getting distortion, like low frequency distortion, kind of in that 80 to 250 hertz was just distorted. But there was enough headroom. I could turn the gain down enough to avoid that. So not unworkable, but definitely a concern if you're recording loud sources like drums, an electric guitar amp, or if you're a loud singer with a hot mic. Oh man, yeah, I have a feeling at very least you're going to want to try to power it with an auxiliary power source just to see if that gives you a little bit more headroom. All right, and one other thing I do have to mention. So I plugged this unit in for my review that I posted a couple of weeks ago, and everything worked fine. I did have some troubles with it not wanting to work off of the front panels of my computer. Those USB jacks apparently not delivering enough voltage to truly power this up and get a connection, a data connection, and power up the LEDs and everything. So I ended up plugging it in through a powered USB hub, which actually did deliver it, actually a little over 5 volts, powered it sufficiently, everything worked great. So I bought a little meter that goes in line into the USB jack to see what the voltage and current is that are being supplied and drawn off of it. It worked fine with that thing in line for a couple days, and then it stopped working. And in all my flailing about to try different combinations of using that voltage meter or not using it, using the hub, using the front panels, using my other computer, I apparently never tried the right combination to get it to work again. And so I was under the impression that the unit was faulty. So I contacted customer support, as you would, because since I'm going to give this thing away, I don't want to give away a defective unit to somebody. So contacted customer support. They actually got back to me pretty quickly, like within a few days. They even apologized for it taking that few days. And as we discussed back and forth a few times, they were very responsive. We got to the point where we needed to contact actual tech support, not customer support. So they referred me over to tech support with an email address. I forwarded them the repair authorization form, the receipt, and nothing. A week went by and radio silence from tech support. Zero acknowledgement, zero communication, nothing. So I replied back and I copied in both the guy that from customer support that was helping me and tech support to make sure I had the right address and make sure that I'd spelled it right, wasn't doing something dumb. Nothing. No acknowledgement, no reply, nothing. It's been 2 weeks since then and nothing. And I find that absolutely unacceptable as a customer to completely get blown off like that. Now, as it turns out, the unit is not faulty. I did realize that I was using that inline voltage meter, and that thing apparently affects how the UR22 connects via USB. And when I was not using that, apparently I was trying to use the front panel USB inputs of my computer, which I had already proven don't supply enough voltage. So, definitely user error, but still. To be completely blown off by customer support, that really ticks me off, and I find that wholly unacceptable. So the customer support was really good, really responsive, up until they tried to hand me off to tech support, and at which point it turned into a total disaster. They have just made no effort to actually help me with what I perceived as a problem. And instead, it's been radio silence. And yeah, every day that goes by is another day with absolutely no communication from Yamaha Steinberg technical support. So while I have to give customer support pretty good marks for being responsive and quick about it, tech support absolute F minus 0%, fail. That was unacceptable. All right, now, so for the good things, I griped about it enough here. So as far as the good things, so that the drivers were stable, they were fast enough. I did almost all of my monitoring through software, so I'm really at the mercy of the latency. So I was able to use a nice small buffer size to keep the latency at a minimum. And it was stable. There was no hiccups or dropouts or anything like that. So that was great. I mean, it was robust. It was solid. And the monitoring volume being a little low, but it was still workable. It wasn't a deal breaker. So I have a feeling for an average home studio, especially if you're mainly recording direct and don't really have need for a huge output volume into your headphones or your monitors. And if you're not trying to record an instrument direct, that's like super hot. Maybe you have a guitar with really hot active pickups. I don't have a setup like that. I don't have any guitar pickups, so I haven't tried the DI with like super hot pickups. It was able to handle all the pickups I fed into it. But if the DI kind of follows suit with the line inputs and the mic inputs of being very sensitive and not having a whole lot of headroom, then you might end up running into troubles if that's your setup. I might think twice about this for a guitar DI for, if you got like some super hot Seymour Duncans or something, or EMG actives. I would legitimately worry about that. I would probably want to try that myself before purchasing. So I don't know if you have a Guitar Center around or a Sam Ash or something where you might be able to actually try one firsthand with your pickups. It might be a good idea. All right, yeah, so I just wanted to keep this short. Just wanted to do kind of a quick lessons learned and follow up on this. Keep an eye out. I will post the giveaway video here this week sometime. So yeah, let's get this into one of your studios so you can use this and make some music and hopefully have a lot of fun with it like I did. All right, hey, well, thank you very much, and I will see you guys next time.